All right, so we picked. What movie did you pick? Best Stephen King movie.
Carrie.
Carrie.
Original.
And we picked
Misery.
Misery versus Carrie. You guys want to start it? We'll let you guys go first.
All right. First of all, it opens up with a teenager. That's a classic, like, very early 80s, 90s kind of horror iconography that you see there, and then it's very relatable, and then you get the picked on kid, and then you get to relate with her some more, and then it kind of goes through her life as she's getting picked on, and I think that's, like, thematically, it's really nice to see this underdog character coming back on top. You get the themes of revenge, and you get themes of, like, repentance, and then you have the religious iconography in the background of the movie, and it's just overall, like, it really plays together in the very end.
Go ahead, Greg.
All right. So, Misery, you've got Stephen King writing about a writer whose crazy fan kidnapped him and tortures him. So what we really have here is you've got Stephen King scaring us with his biggest fear. So, and you've got an Oscar-winning lead performance, you've got a great supporting performance from James Caan, and you've got a movie that tells its story all in one piece, and it comes to a satisfying ending, unlike the downer ending of that other movie.
Wait. That's not a satisfying ending? Like everything that happens to her all builds up for Carrie. Everything is all this trauma, this abuse that she goes through, and then comes to this explosive conclusion. And then when you get to this point where you think she finally gets closer, there's that scene where the hand comes out from the grave.
Yeah, but that's a dream.
Yeah.
I mean, she dies.
No,
she
but
goes through all
that's
this torture and
but,
dies.
No, but that's the thing, is all the trauma never leaves her. It's basically, she's right, the movie's all about growth and dealing with all this trauma that she has to deal through. And it's her youth going into adulthood, but she's not being able to cope, and she's not finding surroundings. There's only one character in the entire movie that gives her the surroundings, and it's a relatable film because whenever everybody here growing up has dealt with a situation where they're confused, they're not knowing what they're going through, and not saying that everybody has trauma, but like they're going through changes in their own life, be it external or internal, and this is shown in both categories, and this is the growth of that character.
It also shows consequences. It shows consequences of the bullies and, like, getting what comes to them. I'm not saying you should go out and kill your bullies, but
that's true.
But you also get consequences for Carrie. She did take out her anger in a wrongful way, but then it concludes with, like, her demise. But in the end, it's really her rest.
But I was just saying that they're both great films. They're both great films. Misery just scares me more, whereas I feel like Carrie is a really strong. You're right. It's like anti-bullying at its best. But, like, God, Misery is terrifying, and it's also more realistic and gritty. Like that leg scene. Like, it's like the hammer through the legs when it breaks James, like, that's just Stephen King at his best, and they never usually get, movie adaptations never usually get that good of a grisly adaptation of a scene alone. And sure, the blood and stuff is a great iconic visual moment for Carrie, but it's not scary. Misery, like, terrified me. Like, that can happen. Like, granted, he was a famous author, but still, anybody could be obsessed with anybody and then come abduct you and take you and treat you like Kathy Bates. And what a performance! An incredible performance. She's great, but performance alone, it wins in my mind. Just from a Stephen King scary factor, while it's a great film, Misery just runs rings around it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Kathy Bates is so good. She laid the groundwork that, I'm going to forget her name, but the Castle Rock second season version of Annie Wilkes is a younger version, and the actress plays her exactly like Kathy Bates. And so that character is informing new versions of King's stories and territory. But the bullying thing, if she walked out of that house at the end, if she got away from her mom, and even badly injured, if she could walk out of that house, and we know that she is going to somehow triumph and get on with her life and actually get away from all of it, that would be the ending. She commits suicide. they beat her down to where she ends up killing herself by blowing that house up.
But wouldn't that just justify people taking their anger out on other people and then kind of encouraging others to take their anger out on bullies, and like then we get things like school shootings, and then that's just a terrible thing that we have to deal with nowadays.
But Paul defeats the monster that is holding him captive. And yes, he's walking on crutches maybe for the rest of his life, but he gets away. And she's gone. He killed her. He got away. That is a triumphant ending. He's going to continue writing. Everything's good.
Traumatized.
Traumatized, yeah. But that's even maybe going to help his writing in a way. That trauma is going to help him be even a better writer. Carrie says, boy, everybody was so mean to me, I better just go in my house and blow it up with my mom in it.
Which is a tragic story.
It is, but it's not as powerful as triumphing, walking away from it, to me.
Well, yours may be realistic in the sense that it's a physical realism. Maybe Carrie's more metaphorically realistic. While the house collapses in this fiery plume, it could be inferred that she is in fact like killing herself. She's going mad, and then like that collapsing of the house is her actually destroying herself.
Well, I will also argue that the novel that the movie was made from, the original novel of Carrie, was basically King doing an experimental novel where they call it an epistolatory, where it's got news clips and letters and diary fragments, and it's not really told in a just, here's the story. It's told through these pieces and bits, and then De Palma and the writers and everybody crafted that film. But Misery, the movie, is Misery the book. And the book was King truthfully laying down that his two biggest things that he's put on paper for us, Pet Sematary, the loss of his child, he feared that beyond anything, and being hounded by a fan to the, you know, almost to the losing his life. So you've got Misery being him, again, presenting his biggest fear, and we're entertained by it. It's not just like, oh, I'm sorry you're scared by that, but that wasn't a very good story. No, you watch this movie and you're right in there with it.
Which, if the question is best Stephen King movie, what's more Stephen King than that? Good point.
There you go.
Well, what's more Stephen King than a coming-of-age story of teenagers getting together, and then you have that, like, sexual virility of the teenagers getting together, and then you have this revenge story, and then the blood and the gore.
That is like half his films. Let's be honest, like a good portion of films are like children coming of age. Like there's some kind of sexual thing going on. There's also
so they're all like that. How nice to have something different that speaks to Stephen King more realistically.
So the less blood.
Some blood.
Just a little bit. Like a little trigger.
It's
one of the two movies has a really lackluster sequel, and the other one doesn't.
So the other one was just left in the wind.
No, it was good enough.
Do it. It stood. It ended. It worked. It's true. Carrie 2.
That's why we're talking about the original.
It also didn't get a remake.
I'm talking about the remake. I'm just talking about that sequel from the 90s.
Yeah,
Misery was so good they don't want to touch
Which, by the way, was shot here.
Was it?
Yeah, Rage Carrie 2 was shot here.
Well, how are you going to make a
Right in
sequel with a
Charlotte.
dead
Congrats.
antagonist?
No, but
Final thoughts. Go ahead, Ad. Any thoughts to end on?
I think it's a better Stephen King movie because it really evokes what he really thinks about the teenage coming-of-age type themes, and then that you get that theme of bullying, and I just think overall it's a better Stephen King movie.
it does have multiple actors that are iconic. The mother with the religious aspect and how she acts on everything. It's just like
Sissy Spacek, yes.
Yeah.
Come on. No one else is competing with Han and Kathy Bates. Go ahead.
Misery is. I'm kind of losing my thought here. It's the better movie because it is Stephen King's Fears and it entertains us. So there's.
And it's tense. It's tense. The scene when he gets out, he's walking around the room, and you're terrified for him in a way.
Yeah.
That yes, I'm emotionally put through the ringer for Carrie. It's triggers bullyism, like high school things. It's uncomfortable watch.
Carrie is a Brian De Palma movie of a Stephen King story, but I think Rob Reiner got out of the way and didn't imprint the movie of Misery as much, and he's telling the Stephen King story. But De Palma is using all of his split screen tricks and all of the stuff that he brings to every film, and it takes away from the Stephen Kingness of it.
Good. Time. Boom. Thank you. Well, good job, Craig and Abby. All right, don't go. Now you guys get to vote. Those of you who are listening to the debate. Best Stephen King movie, again, based off of our arguments, not your personal opinion. Is it Misery? Is it Carrie? That sounded like Misery to me. But that was good. Good job, Abby. Bravo. Round of applause. Yeah, get a shirt. Sure, here you go. All right. Just grab whatever one there. Spit.